Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Day as a Professional. And today I'm here with Mr. Faizan. He is an aerospace scientist along as an innovator. How are you doing, Mr. Faizan?
Very good. Thank you so much, Father. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and yeah, let's get straight into the questions. So, what initially made you get interested in your line of work? Who or what were some influences in this decision?
So I am mostly known as an aerospace scientist. I've been doing designing the aircraft and the spacecraft and rocket stuff my whole life. And one of the major incident which actually impacted my interest in aerospace is, in fact, there are two, not one. One was like when I was growing up, I used to live next to an airport.
Oh,
And every time I used to see a plane take off and land, I used to sit and think for hours, like, how does a plane fly? So
mm-hmm.
that actually generated my interest in aerospace. And I remember when I was in fifth grade, my elder brother gifted me a book, which was titled Manned Spaceflight. Right? So I read that book, and that actually sparked my interest into space flight and stuff like that. So books, great books, are they can do wonders.
Mm-hmm. And I initially saw how you had done physics, mathematics, and chemistry at St. Xavier's College, and you had done a psychology degree in at Patna University. And how would you say these degrees have helped you choose your career path? Like, when you first went into these colleges, did you have like a set goal in mind, or was it more like you were interested in it and that's why you took it?
To be honest, I did not have this goal in my mind. When I was taking my physics, chemistry, and mathematics, after we passed 10th grade public examination back in India.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you want to study science, I'm from India, by the way. So if you want to study science, you have, you have two options. If you want to go towards biology, or if you want to go towards mathematics. So those who want to be doctors and later, they take biology, physics, chemistry, and biology.
Mm-hmm.
Those who want to be engineers, they take physics, chemistry, and mathematics. I thought I will become an engineer, and that's how I took physics, chemistry, and mathematics. And now, let me say something about this. Physics is one of my all-time favorite subjects till today. So, love physics. I love physics because it explains the phenomena around us. And math is my second most favorite subject, and math is a tool for science, right?
Right.
So, in a sense, physics and maths definitely shaped what I am today. That is for sure. Now, coming to psychology, that was something really, really interesting because at one point of time I got interested in psychology. And I thought, why not we start learning psychology? So those were the days, where internet was just coming up in India. I'm talking about early 2000 kind of
Mm-hmm.
time frame. So we did not have all this information about psychology, as you all have. You guys are lucky, on your fingertips, you get all this information. So the best way for me to get those information and knowledge about psychology was to join a course and get the books and study the books. So I did that. That's how I got my BS in psychology.
Mm-hmm. And how would you say, is there any role of psychology in day-to-day life or in aerospace engineering?
A lot, a lot. So I remember in my first interview, while I was getting into my job through my campus. So they asked me a question, very interesting question, and they said, "All right, Mr. Faizan, we have a lot of people who applied who have a bachelor's degree in computer science and physics and all that, and plus their MS in computer science. Whereas you are here with a bachelor's degree in psychology plus computer science.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, why do you think we should hire you?" So My response to them was this, and I still stand by that. I said there are two most important resources in any organization. Right? One is
Mm-hmm.
human resource, and the other is technical resource. Now, the technical resource are dependent on human resource to do anything. They cannot do anything by themselves, right?
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
So all those other applicants who have this technical degree, they are good to manage only the technical resource. But since I have a psychology degree, I will be managing the technical resource as well as the human resource equally well. And that's why I think you should hire me. And with this answer, I think I was the only guy who was accepted into this company out of a couple of hundreds people. Right? So yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
helps. It helps.
Yeah. And what are some other more important courses to take to really get a better understanding of aerospace engineering and the way of inventions or way of innovation?
So um, I want to take this question in an entirely different way. I believe course subjects do not take us anywhere.
Oh.
It's our thought process which takes us anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, courses they can enable us. They are enabler. They can definitely enable us, but they don't take us anywhere. Right? A degree does not take us anywhere, and you might be knowing about them that there are some of the top corporate organizations in US who do not need degree anymore, right?
Right, right.
But this, if you know your stuff, just come on and join us. So yeah. Now, since you have asked this question about courses, and the context of this interview is to help other identify their career opportunities, and there are a couple of things I would say. First of all, try to take courses which directly or indirectly related to what you want to do in your life. Like 15 years ahead in your life, right? You want to
Mm-hmm.
be take courses which enable you to be a good engineer. The maths, the physics, the chemistry kind of courses for sure, right?
Right.
But apart from that, there's some courses which helps us on the broader perspective. Like for example, psychology. How does my psychology help me? Um, uh, Most of the engineering is done for humans, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When we're designing aircrafts, when designing the cockpit system in the aircraft, we have to understand the psychology of a pilot, who is sitting in this cockpit for like 10, 15 long hours and flying a plane, right?
Mm-hmm.
There have been instances where a plane has crashed because the pilot actually misunderstood some of the controls.
Oh.
Plane crashed, right? So psychology helps with that a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So oh, I love psychology, right? Whenever they're humans, they're psychology, right? Apart from that, I definitely advise people to have this thinking mind, logical thinking, and critical analysis. So we should nurture our critical analysis skill, logical thinking skills, and so on and so forth, which is some of the they form the foundation of our career wherever we go.
Mm-hmm. And how would you say you personally have been able to develop your innovative thinking, and what tips would you give high school students to get a better mindset and which ways they can do that?
That's a very good question. Um, I really do not know when and how I started thinking innovatively, but what I do know is that I was always questioning.
Mm-hmm.
I was questioning. I remember I told you like when I was young, I used to live next to an airport. And every time I used to see a plane take off and land, I remember I used to sit and think for hours, like how does a plane fly? What system did Wright brothers design that it goes against gravity and it takes so much weight along with itself, right? So always have a questioning brain, right? Try to analyze things. Whenever anything, any incident, any situation comes through us, I really strongly recommend, especially high schoolers, to think about it. Ask questions like why, when, where, who, Why not? What else? What next? These are some of the questions we must answer. We must ask, for us to develop a logical and innovative mindset.
Hmm. And what would you say are some key interests for someone who wants to become an aerospace scientist or an innovator? So, like, what interest should they really get into?
Okay, so aerospace, let me tell you something about the aerospace industry. Aerospace industry is probably the only industry which has employment opportunities for any engineers, any
Anything?
type of engineers. Yeah, so for example, if someone is a structural engineer, we they are needed because the structure of the plane has to be strong.
Hmm.
Someone is a mechanical engineer, there's a lot of mechanical parts. Someone
Right.
is a computer engineer, around 40 to 50% of aircraft system and the budget and development of the aircraft goes towards computer systems. So
Hmm.
someone is electronic engineer, chemical engineer, even if someone is a textile engineer, you know, we need a textile engineer to do research on the textile of the seats, because the seats and the textile of the seats have to be fire retardant, right?
Hmm. Right.
Catch fire or regulating the fire. So, so that is what I feel that engineer from any aspect of life can get into aerospace, into designing of the spacecraft, or the aircraft, and systems like that. Now, apart from that, if someone has any interest or any passion about flying or about planes, that definitely helps because that has helped me for
Hmm.
sure. So that definitely helps.
Hmm. And also, while being like an aerospace engineer, you're also like an innovator, inventor. You develop the ground reality information processing system, which brought you many awards and prizes. So, how would you say are some key skills which are needed to really become an innovator, to look at it like a problem and think about it differently to how like better it or make it cheaper in any way?
Yeah, I'll give you the brief history of how grips was innovated, and that will tell you what we need to innovate system. So it was around June or July, June timeframe, 2009, and I was working with Airbus in France. So Airbus A350 was under development, and we were working on a system called CMS, Centralized Monitoring System.
Mm-hmm.
That is when one plane, Air France plane, crashed into Mediterranean Sea. It was going from Rio de Janeiro to Brazil to Paris, and it crashed. So I was there at Airbus facility in Toulouse, southern France, and this happened. The entire France was really curious to know what happened and why that happened. So and so was I. So when I was doing research on plane crashes, I came to know that the most deadliest plane crash ever happened in human history was, uh, as we call it, a disaster of Tenerife. So when two Boeing 747 collided head-on runway, and that was a runway incursion incident that killed around 572 people.
Ooh,
Yeah, so that is still date that is the deadliest accident ever.
that's crazy.
So I started reading about Tenerife disaster, and I found out that that was a runway incursion accident. Runway incursion is when one plane is on the runway, the other comes on the runway.
Mm-hmm.
So that disaster of Tenerife happened in 1979, and this was 2009. And I was like, okay, that was long back, around 30 years back. By now we have technologies, advanced technologies, which might have prevented which might have predicted and prevented such a situation. So I
Mm-hmm.
started my research on runway incursion, and to my horror, I found out that that year, 2009, in US alone, there were around 1,000 runway incursion incidents.
Oh, that's.
And that was like too much, like 3 runway incursion incidents every day in US alone. And that tells me that that nothing has been done for 30 years, and that's why I started thinking. I said, why it has not been done? What are the limitations of current technology? I started looking at it, and I found out that it's heavily dependent on radars, and
Mm-hmm.
radar passive. So I thought instead of radars, why don't we use sensors on the runways and get the ground report from the ground? And that's why I named it as Ground Reality Information Processing System. It gets data about the aircraft movement through sensors in real time and warn the pilots and air traffic control about a possible runway incursion. So that was the approach I have taken in my innovation. So my question, my suggestion to everyone who wants to be an innovator is to, first of all, keep an open mind, observe situations around you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Observe what's around you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the job of innovator is to solve a problem. And what do we need to solve a problem? We need a problem.
Right.
So there's so many problems around us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be my first advice. And then ask questions, ask right questions, and ask questions repeatedly. Ask second, third, fourth, and next level of questions till you try to get some sort of logical pattern about the problem, and try to solve that logical pattern with your idea, which is going to be innovation. So
Mm-hmm.
that's which I think I'll recommend at this point.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say in this whole process was the hardest part? And like actually like how do you convince other people that this actually worked? Did you like perform a test or how was it done?
That's an interesting question because once I came up with innovation, my innovation grips, I was challenged. In fact, NASA was working on it. A lot of other multi-billion-dollar companies were working on it.
Okay.
And a couple of people whom I told, including my then boss, like, I have come up with this innovation and I think, it'll be able to detect runway incursion and predict and prevent it by 99.9% probability. His first response was, gentlemen, NASA is like multi-billion.
Okay, so if you're seeing this, there was like a long break, long story short, like both of our internet connections is kind of cut. Good thing is we're back. We're back, so that's all that matters. And yeah, let's get back to the questions. Uh, what would you say is was your favorite part, or what was? Oh no, how did you convince other people that the system actually worked? Did you perform a test, or was it in a different way?
I'm sorry, could you come again?
Yeah, I was just wondering what in like when you did develop the system, how did you convince other people that this system worked?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. So I was telling that, first of all, thank you, we are back. So, so I went to my boss. I was working then, and then I said, "Hey, this is the problem, and this is a solution I've designed, and it looks like it will work more than 99.9% of the times." And he looked at this, and then he looked at me, and he said, "You know what you're trying to solve?" I said, "Yes, um, I'm trying to solve runway incursion." And he said, "You know who else is solving this?" I said, "Yeah, I know a couple of labs are solving this." I said, "Yeah, NASA is solving this. And they have the best brain and they have multi-billion dollars of budget and they are still trying to solve it. And Honeywell is solving it. It's a multi-billion dollar aerospace company. They're still trying to solve it. And do you think you are such a smart guy, you will be able to solve it?" So I was like, okay, but I feel this will work. So um, first couple of months, no one was able to actually believe that this problem can be solved with the approach I'm proposing. So what we did is we went ahead and we launched a company, and the whole idea was to develop a working prototype of this. So in sometime around 2011, we developed a working prototype of it, and that is when I showed the working prototype to the world. People start believing it. It first came in newspaper in India, then it came in a journal, aerospace journal published from Canada. Then it started amplifying, so much so by 2014, we were one of the top 4 technology developed worldwide.
Mm.
in aviation safety. So that
Mm.
was the story.
So, what would you say was the hardest part of this process, or the part of the process which you liked the least?
Um, of course, the part where I have to go and convince someone else that it will work, because I know it will work, and still talking and convincing them, they're saying it will not work. You're just not capable to find the solution, and keeping your cool and with the logic, with the technology, that yeah, it's going to work. That was the hardest part.
Hmm. And if you could walk us through some of the day-to-day responsibilities that you have.
All right, so now, as of today, I'm a full-time innovator. I innovate. I get at least one new idea every day. I mentor smart young kids like you to identify a real-world problem and solution to these problems. So my typical day starts with thinking and ends with thinking.
And what would you say are some of your most recent projects, if you could discuss that?
Yeah, one of the I like to talk about two recent projects. One which we are launching a product. We are launching a product called UV Set. It's a system to automatically disinfect door handle.
Hmm.
Uh, after the COVID thing and all that,
Yeah.
such a public good. So, so we have innovated this product. One of my students has done that, and we are launching a product. So that is something which is keeping me busy, and
Hmm.
other thing that's keeping me busy is definitely mentoring you guys.
Yeah. Uh, Also, what advice would you give to young students who want to become innovators or inventors, and and also to young students who perhaps want to go into aerospace engineering, who want to learn about planes, how to make them better, more safe for people, even after what happened in COVID.
Sure. So I'll take your first question first, like advice to those who want to be innovators. So I always say that the job of innovator is to solve a problem. And what do we need to solve a problem? We need a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest problem is we are also unaware of the problem around us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the most important advice I'd like to give anyone who wants to be innovator or who think he is an innovator is to keep your eyes, ears open and and try to identify and observe problems around you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because not finding a problem, you're not going to give a solution, you're never going to become innovative, right?
Right.
Right. So the second one is the moment you find a problem, ask questions about that, right? So that you analyze the problem and understand where the problem stands, right? So that is one advice. Then that's like advice that I give to someone who want to be an innovator.
Mm-hmm.
For anyone who wants to be into aerospace, let me tell you something really, really interesting. In aerospace industry, for to develop a software uh, which controls the aircraft and the spacecraft, uh,
Mm-hmm.
we use uh, we use a standard we call as DO178B. Now DO178C. That's the updated version of DO178B. So that standard is called DO178C. Uh, Now in this process, we are allowed to make only one mistakes in 100 million.
Ooh.
So as NASA's tagline goes, failure is not an option. Being into aerospace, you have to be almost uh, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in aerospace industry, there is a saying which goes like, it's like almost right is 100% wrong. You cannot be almost right in aerospace,
Mm-hmm.
right? Right, 100% right all the time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Imagine a pilot, trying to land a plane, and instead of landing it on runway, he landed 10 feet next to runway. What will happen? He was almost right.
It's almost
He
right.
but then aerospace industry, almost right is 100% wrong,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
I like to give the advice I like to give to anyone who want to be into aerospace is, you know, first of all, follow the processes. Now, how does that happen? How we are able to implement that kind of um, dependability in the system? Uh, um, we design a system in such a way that there's a lot of redundancy. The system is robust. We test the system, we retest the system, right? And how we are going to do that, we follow processes,
Mm-hmm.
right? A strict process is being followed. So that is one thing we have to have if you want to be into aerospace industry. You know, if you are a perfectionist, that's great, right? That helps.
Mm-hmm. And you see like how like planes disappear or planes crash, and like even nowadays it happens where like an engine failure or a bird gets stuck in the engine or like the tail like flaps away. I'm really into aircraft investigations, so I know a little bit. But how do you ever wonder like when you look at it and say how could this have been prevented and how you have done it?
Yeah, with the kind of air crash you're talking about, I can see that you are a fan of air crash investigation. So, um, uh, yeah, so um, in fact, my when innovation grips, actually, I was able to innovate or come up with when I studied about the disaster of Tenerife, which was a runway incursion, and we said, how can we prevent this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the first question we have to ask if we see a problem and how can we prevent this.
Mm-hmm.
So all these failures, in aircrafts, right? So none of the failure um, occurred as a standalone failure. Behind any failure, there are a chain of events which goes, right? And that's how the aircraft systems is designed, that the one failure cannot lead to a disaster,
Mm-hmm.
right? For example, one engine failed. A plane is designed to actually fly on one engine, second engine. Both engine fail. The plane is designed to glide and land safely. There is an instance where both engine failed in a plane and it glided for around 100 miles and it landed safely.
Oh.
We call it glider of Gimli. Uh, so that's how aircraft system is designed, right? So for us to avoid any accidents or air crashes, we have to follow the processes very diligently. Because once we follow the processes, the founding fathers of aviation, they have established these processes based on learnings from various flights, accidents, engineering. We have seen that one common denominator in all air accident is non, um, um, you know, adherence to the established processes. Somewhere someone has made, they've taken a shortcut, led to an accident.
Right.
So that, which we must avoid if we have to solve the problem in the aviation industry.
Mm-hmm. And I know this is kind of like sidetracking from like our main point, but like I was just wondering, like I know a lot of plane crashes are due to like pilot error just because they were like unable to do a certain thing. Although sometimes it is like system error where something wasn't put in proper. But do you believe like AI or in the future that computers could fly planes without the use of pilots?
Um, the answer is yes and no both. I'll tell you why. So the answer is yes, because uh, planes, as of today, they are fully capable to fly on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Pilot takes off in the air. He switches on to autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Autopilot takes control of takes input from FMS system, the flight management system, which has a lot of work to do. And one of the work is navigation.
Mm-hmm.
Flight management system enables the plane to navigate safely from origin to destination. And autopilot system takes those data pointers and give inputs to FCS, that is flight control systems,
Mm-hmm.
and the flight system actually guides the plane to go towards destination.
Mm-hmm.
So as in fact, there is a very delayed system in the plane today, which we call as TCAS, Traffic Collision Avoidance System.
Mm-hmm.
What TCAS does is like, take for example, there's one plane going from point A to point B, and there's another plane which is going from point B to point A. And the moment they come on collision course, the TCAS system communicates and they do a resolution, and the plane decide that, okay, I'm going 10,000, I'm going 1,000 feet up, you go 1,000 feet down, and let's go. And once they cross each other, they come back again and they start flying, right?
Oh.
And
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to interfere. The
Mm-hmm.
system will take care of the plane are capable enough to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So today, plane can fly without pilot. That was for yes. Now, why we need a pilot? We need a pilot because uh, there might be a situation which which the designer of the plane might not have foreseen.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
If they have not foreseen, then it's better for the machine to take decision. Let a man take a decision because he has intelligence,
Right.
real intelligence, not the artificial.
Yeah.
He may take better decision than the machine. That's why I feel it will be great that we always have a pilot in the cockpit, even if it's not flying, just sitting on a couch and watching. I'm fine with that, but I need a human brain up there in the cockpit.
Yeah, that is also really important, just in case of that scenario just occurs. And finally, my last question, going back to how you had studied physics, chemistry, and math, what would you say are some other career paths which involve these subjects?
So now hmm, there are a lot of career paths you can take. In fact, apart from engineering, you can go towards research for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of research opportunities in these, at least in physics and chemistry. Math is a tool. There's a lot of unanswered and problem in mathematics as well. But you can go towards research. We can go towards academics. Pure science, as I said, is a is a vast domain for research.
Right.
Engineering, we can go towards any domain in engineering. We can definitely go there. In India and many countries, I know we required to be a physics, chemistry, and maths graduate to be a pilot, right? So, by plane, you need to be studying basic science. Other than that, math is actually logic. You can be whatever if you have mathematical skill or logical skill. The number skill. Um, there is logical skill in ourselves. So you can go to other, like you can be a good lawyer. If you know your numbers, if you know your facts, figures, and data, because, these investigation is done purely by science. You might have seen the forensic
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
how science helps with investigation. So you can go there. So possibilities are unlimited for sure.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, those are all the questions I have for you today. Thank you so much for taking the time out today to come and sit with me. If you have any questions, I'll leave my email down below. And yeah, just email me and ask me the questions. That's how it goes, I guess, for the viewers. And yeah, thank you everyone for coming, and bye.